Hello to my fellow history lovers. This is the last and final part 4 of how the East India Tea Company goes from being a company too big to fail to causing, in part, the American Revolution. So we started this video, part 1, by saying, imagine if Amazon had its own private army bigger than the American army. And that was the situation for the East India Tea Company. They have incredible clout, they have diplomatic immunity, and they have a lot of control over India. And the reason they need so much control over India is they need to extricate a lot of wealth to take that money, go to China, buy the tea, because China, as we said, doesn't want to trade. There's a big trade imbalance. They only want silver. And things are going okay for them. It would seem pretty well. But a couple of things start to create problems. For one thing, they get too much supply. The supply of tea is getting bigger and bigger, and it's stored in warehouses, and it's perishable. In addition, in the colonies, of course, there's already been sort of a pushback because of the first tea tax, where more and more people are drinking smuggled tea from the Dutch. So in addition, we talked about how at that Battle of Plassey, where the British win, but they have all these soldiers there still trying to control things, and that's a huge expense. In addition, for each part of this, because remember, they're controlling the tax gathering in India to use that money to buy in China, and each piece of the way, there is a certain amount of corruption and money is being siphoned off. So eventually they get into a world of hurt, and they've got all of this tea sitting at this point in London, getting old. And so they go to the government, and remember, a lot of members of parliament are directly invested in it. In fact, they have been shareholders demanding money, which has created some problems. There was also a huge famine in India during this time, so it's been harder to extricate as much money as they want. And so they go to the government and they say, you know, we need a bailout, £1 million bailout. And they come up with this second Tea Act idea, and they say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to flood the colonies with all this tea, get it out of the warehouses, sell it to the colonists, and we'll have to sell it so cheaply that it's actually cheaper even than the smuggled tea. And only to do that, they're going to cut out a bunch of middlemen, and only certain merchants in the colonies can even sell British tea. And that creates a really difficult situation for a lot of for a lot of colonists who are merchants to sell the tea. The smugglers aren't too happy, and a lot of people who felt pretty strongly about, you know, English trying to sort of manipulate them by saying only certain people can now sell British tea are outraged, and that leads to the dumping of the tea in the harbor, which is one of the first big revolts that will eventually be part of the American Revolution. If you listen to all 4 of those parts, hats off. Thank you for letting me share, and I hope you enjoyed and learned something, and I'll see you tomorrow.